What a name! It's a brilliant name. I love that name because like I was gonna have it named Bing Chilling with Wida, but then when I was testing out the audio quality of these, um, I don't know, I came up with Wida Best. I was like, ah, shit, that's good. That sticks. So anyway, I tried previously thinking of how can I make YouTube videos different from anything else that I've made before, and then I came up with the idea of not providing any value, just having a conversation with someone that I enjoy listening to and talking to. Um, but inevitably, I'm always invested in psychology, always invested in learning stuff and talking about interesting stuff. So I'm going to start this off with today. I watched a TEDx talk with, let me find his name, Chris Williamson,
Oh.
and he's this Chad-like guy. He attractive as hell, chiseled jawline, but he's really smart. He talks to Jordan Peterson and Benjamin Hardy and whatever. Right? I'm not sure if he talked with Ryan Holiday.
What's his background?
He was, I think, a bouncer at like some events, or he was an event holder. I have no idea, but like he was always in the, good-looking areas, fucking with good-looking people. I don't know, but so one time when I think he must have been on some live TV show with a bunch of stars and stuff, good-looking people, he was like having an existential crisis that's not him. He's playing a role. He's playing a character of this good, hot-looking guy that talks properly, doesn't talk about weird stuff that he's thinking about, like robotic dogs, ethical. He thinks about weird shit. So he had this thought that he's not being authentic. And then just today, I was watching his TEDx talk about embracing your weirdness, and then he mentioned many greats that were as authentic as possible, and we only have them because they embrace their weirdness. And then he talked about a number of how unlikely it was for you to exist, and that number is just hugely unlikely, and so it's like your duty to be as authentic as possible, because if you're not, then you're just average. If you're following the norm, your result is average. So yeah, he was like, fucking try to be authentic and embrace it. And I like
What's
that
the
idea.
definition of weirdness of this TED talk?
No idea. I think in my mind, it kind of sounds like you'll know when you see it. Being weird. I think maybe it follows like not following society's norms, being weird.
How weird do you think it is weird?
What specifically? How weird is weird?
Yeah, what's the line between normal
How
and
can you
weird?
quantitatively measure weird?
Because there's no, I mean, there's no weird. Maybe there's
I
a
think
limit.
if a person does this, that's how you can tell if you're like weird. If someone does like what the fuck, that's when you know. I don't know. I think that's the standard. When people shut up. When he talked about, it was like the more complex your personality, the side effect of that is you're going to be lonelier or something like that. I'm using the wrong words, but he was saying the more different you are from the crowd, the lonelier you'll feel, because you will talk about things that they can't relate to or connect with. So maybe that's another measure. Those authentic people constantly feel. One second, constantly feel not connected. I don't know. Anyway, I'm using the wrong words for this thing that I just watched today, and I was fascinated by it. Embracing my weirdness. It spoke to me. That was I was learning today about what should I talk about. And out of all of the things that I listed, I listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things. Embracing your weirdness was one of the things that I actually enjoyed. Because I know I'm so fucked up. My brother knows how fucked up I am. We two are retards, absolute degenerates of society. And we hide it. And he hides it better than I do. Because, he works in jobs with actual people. He's trying to be, whatever, having a high social credit score. If he went to China, he's probably going to be pretty good. If I went to China, I'd probably be executed. So I'm having a low social credit score at the moment. So yeah,
I see.
especially
But
with this name, Bing Chilling, we the best, of
yeah,
course.
what is being chilling though? It's
Bing
crazy.
Chilling, the video of John Sheena with the ice cream, and then he says a bunch of stuff in Mandarin and says Bing Chilling 20 million times. So that's a Bing Chilling. I don't know. I think it's ice cream. I tried to look up what does Bing Chilling mean, and all I came up to or close to was like it means ice cream or something. I have no idea. I'll Google Translate it if it actually means something.
Being
But I think
chilling.
it's just an. I don't know. Do you know Mandarin or not?
A little bit.
Yeah, Bing Chilling.
Oh, ice being. Do you think it's kind of ice cream in Korea, like
I
bingsu?
have no idea now. I have no idea. But it's a meme anyway, so I know I can't go to China. Wouldn't like to. Would you like to go to China?
Of course, absolutely. Um,
Why?
it's amazing country. There are a lot of yeah, a lot of difference with another culture, and Chinese is one of the oldest country in the world. They have been rooted for several centuries, and I think they have this kind of something distinguished about them. Though it's culture, it's the people. I think it's very interesting to see them with myself. It's
Hmm.
crazy.
I
I
mean,
never
if you
been
go from
there.
that perspective,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of ancient. This ancient feeling, this kind of magical. It's Chinese is magical country for me.
If you would have went there, would you go to the Great Wall of China, or is that like overhyped? Do you think, it's just a wall?
Yeah, it's of course I want to take the opportunity if I have one, but I think there are a lot of places in China as well. But um, uh, the Great Wall is kind of icon in Indonesia, like Borobudur. There are a lot of statues in Indonesia, and I think Great Wall is one of them.
I have
But
no idea what
yeah,
that was. he
oh
said
really?
he said a few things. I was like, okay, I
Oh,
don't
really?
know.
Yeah, yeah. You know. Anyway, just the Great Wall. The Great Wall is great, but I think there are a lot of places as well, like Water Village in China. You may as well search it in Google. Water Village is beautiful village in China, and also there are stone forest, stone forest in China. It's
It's my
crazy.
first time seeing Water Village. I'm looking at
Mm.
it now. Okay. Yeah, going from the cultural
Mm-hmm.
perspective. I get your point. I get your point. I was gonna move on to another topic, but I don't know. Um, on the topic of embracing your weirdness,
Weirdness in one society may be
it sounds
different
it
from
sounds
another
just like
society.
yeah, that's true. Like it's weird for Westerners to slurp noodles. It's highly
Mhm,
common for Asians to
mhm.
slurp their noodles.
Yeah, also
It's
and
like
burp.
rude for us.
Yeah, kind of burping.
Burping. Oh,
Yeah.
it's okay. Yeah. I've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
That you
Mm-hmm.
don't burp in Asia
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, or you don't blow your nose. So you do
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
sniffling. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
So I think it's
yeah. I
weirdness
guess weirdness
things.
goes by culture too. Instead of just authenticity, it goes by culture.
Mm. But I think weirdness kind of a coping a way of ourselves to cope with some kind of issue with ourselves. So it's part of the result of what happened in the past. So maybe it's weird, but I think it should be the reason. There should be a reason why
Can you
they
give me
do
an
that.
example?
Like, wait, a lot of weird. Maybe
One of
eating, maybe eating with the spoon. Maybe eating noodle with the spoon.
hmm,
Um, it should be with the chopsticks,
should
but
be banned.
yeah, but
Noodles with a spoon. A fork is understandable.
yeah, but you don't have any spark, but so you just spoon, and each time you eat noodle, you think that okay, it might be uh, very comfortable to just use spoon, so they just use spoon, and I think they kind of relate it to another life event, like I don't want to use fork because it's dangerous, maybe because they have that trauma of the fork or chopsticks, so they just use spoon. So it might be weird for someone, but I think, yeah, it
This is
is
going way
understandable.
deeper than I ever expected.
Oh,
You're
really?
going to the mindset of a hypothetical person of maybe forks are dangerous.
Because yeah, because there's always a reason why people do certain things.
I would
um
expect eating noodles with a spoon to get more bouillon or whatever it's called in
mm,
English. Um, the actual soupy soup, the liquid.
mm,
Um, that's my only explanation for that crime. Um,
mm,
makes sense. I'm also seeing it as an extension of authenticity.
mm,
Like society has to have certain norms and regulations. It can't be everything. It has to be something. And when it's something, it's definitely not everything. It has to be confined and measured and in a specific way. And of course, society norms change and shift over decades, but um, that means someone's going to be left out, like gay marriage, you
mm,
know, now societally acceptable. A couple of years ago, looked down
mm,
upon. It's like, what the fuck?
mm.
Gays being married?
Yeah.
So so I think, and then that's just, you would have been normal and now you're weird. But then if you embrace it, you never changed. The society changed, so it's just being authentic.
Mm,
So maybe it's an extension of authenticity, which I really enjoy. I think
mm,
it's one of the hardest things to do, but like one of the most rewarding things to do.
mm. Yeah, I agree with that, because one of the key to happiness is the authenticity, how we represent ourselves, our real life, I mean our real self in the real life. It's very comfortable to represent our self, real self. You know, yeah. I
I
think
think
it
if
will
you're
be
having
good
a
feeling.
persona, sorry,
It will be good feeling.
if you're authentic,
Hmm.
and I think if you're showing a persona, a mask that you created, mask is persona, basically that. If you go to the root word of person persona, it came
Hmm.
down to mask. I think it's Greek or something, Latin. I forget. But
Hmm.
a, persona can't get love. It can only get praise. So so many so many influential people, so many known people would get so much praise but never love. So Chris was talking about this, not me. He was talking about, we love the gladiator Maximus, but we don't like the actor for it. We show that we like the actor, but we actually like the character, the persona. Or he was giving another example, probably of another actor, but what's that character's? 1 second, the gladiator. I just want his name. Cast Russell Crowe. There we go. We like the gladiator, but we're not liking Russell Crowe because he's playing the persona of gladiator. So so they feel hollow even though they're around so many people. They feel a disconnect even though so many people are around them and loving them. So I remember when I was learning from Dr. K. He is a psychologist and Harvard med student, a therapist. He's a few things. Maybe I got something wrong, but he was talking about dating and stuff like that, and he was talking how those who take dating advice from guys that seem to have made it are adapting their personality, the guys who made it, onto themselves, and they're trying to be macho, trying to be like the other guy, putting on a mask, a social mask on themselves. And the more successful this mask, the lonelier they feel, because people think because they realize, or they build this mindset that they're not enough for people to like them, so they have to be something else so people like them. And the more successful that mask, the more it confirms that they are not enough for people to like them. So it's dangerous for people to build a social mask, because you'll just feel lonely, even though you don't look lonely. So, I think this is prevalent with Instagram.
But you know, sometimes people have a lot of personas. When we meet with the family, it will be different. With us, meet with a girlfriend or boyfriend, it will be different. And our friends, it will be different too. So I think we have a lot of persona, how to treat them. So it's which persona we represent to them, it's important, because why the authenticity is is important, because we need to adjust, no not adjust, the same with the friend or with the family, and
as arguments.
another person. So I think it will be important and consistent over the time. So it is important.
I get your point on you're different with your family members, like with your partner, and like I actually was talking about that like earlier, way back. I totally agree with that. Like, you're different with your granny and your partner, whatever. And I was talking to some person on chat roulette about that, and she was talking. I forget how the conversation went, but she mentioned like, I forget. I don't know where to start this. I'll try my best. Instead of, I think it started like this. I was talking about finding the right type of person for you in the dating, in dating in life, instead of seducing person by what you say and how you act, finding a person that would love you for who you are. And then she said, well, she was with black guys, she was with guys from Puerto Rico, with guys from Western countries, with guys from whatever. They all have different cultures. So she learned how to act to be with this black guy who had a huge family, and they all love to share things and whatever. And she learned how to act with this Western guy and learned how to act with this Asian guy. But she finally came to the conclusion that she felt most natural with a guy from a Western country instead of, not. I wanted to say something else, but not. So I think, sure, you're going to be different with your grandmother, like you are with your parents, like you are with your partner, but you have a natural side. You have a natural way to giving love, and if someone else is telling you you have to change that so more people will like that love, then it's not being fully you. Even though there is a different way of you giving love, taking in that message that that's not enough. You have to be different to be loved even more, or maybe by more people. It's like a bit dangerous if you go down that path. I mean, I went down that path, and I like that I did because fucking not a virgin anymore. But then I came to the conclusion through 3 years that I think it's better being yourself. And it's such a risky thing because, like, what about psychopaths? What about fucking, a danger to society?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that.
But I think as long as you don't, disturb the way the society, I think it is acceptable to any behavior, as long as it doesn't disturb or any criminal. It's it's socially
I just closed the
unacceptable
window.
to kill other people. So as long as it's not criminal and it doesn't disturb other people, I think it's all right, in my opinion. So
That's a good rule.
although, yeah,
Yeah, not to disturb other people. You can have your own fun. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah,
I think that's a good rule because we can. I mean, it makes sense. That's why people get put in prison. Like, if they do something to themselves, that's okay. But if they do something to others that harms, if they harm themselves, it's okay. It's you don't get put in prison for that. But if you accidentally harm someone else doing what you like doing, and you accidentally harm someone, well, then there's consequences. So
yeah,
I like that idea. So you could be authentic to the point where it's not harming someone else.
yeah.
But what if you have a
And
different? What if you have a different political opinion? Is that harm?
well, I don't know. It depends.
I don't think so.
It depends on the social system and the
Yeah.
political system in each country.
Now the Western system thinks words are abusive. No, not abusive. A threat. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it depends on the social system, of course.
Yeah.
What was that thing that we were trying to set this up for a couple of days? We talked about, if we have nothing to talk about, we can come back to this one topic. What was that one topic that we were talking about? Because I totally forgot about it.
Oh, the fetish.
I think it was, well, I have it
No.
right here, fetish. I looked into it today. So complex. It's so complex. There's like you can get the same fetish but through different ways, and it's usually around clothes or body parts, and like it was super complex. I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
So it sounded interesting when I was just thinking about it. When I was actually reading about it, I was like, okay, they exist. Get on with it.
Yeah, because it's related to the cognitive of a person. So everyone has their own perception of their life. So they have a lot variation of fetishes out there. So it can be chopsticks, it can be spoon, it can be just fabrics, clothes, feet,
Yeah,
anything.
all clothes. Yeah, can be a fetish. It you can, from what I recollect, you can create a fetish from just from the video. They were like, if your genitals rub off a plushy toy and you suddenly get hard, you would associate, oh, that plushy toy made me hard, so maybe I actually enjoy this soft, smooth plushy toy, and then you'll create a fetish from that. Or if you a different way you can create a fetish. If you associate something non-sexual with something sexual, enough times you'll associate that non-sexual things as being sexual. There, it was way too complex. I was like, yo, I'm glad we understand how fetishes happen, but fucking hell, this is because I thought like when I was just thinking about this yesterday, I was talking to this girl who's writing about her ex's fetishes. She's writing a book called, I wrote it down. It's going to be released this year. Stories That Made My Ex Come by Roxana. So he had a bunch of fetishes. I was thinking, fuck, where did fetishes come from? And I was thinking, like, it's weird that you can do something mundane and something that's disgusting by biological in biological ways, like something that smells disgusting, looks disgusting, is probably harmful to our bodies, and yet it's confused with pleasure, and we get pleasure from that disgusting thing. So I was like, fuck, either those nerves are close or some signals get fucked up. Like when people enjoy pain during sex, like that pain and pleasure kind of get fucking mixed up, and then you start feeling pleasure from that pain. I was thinking maybe it's the same thing, but no, there's way more to it. It could be, but there is so much text and reading. I'm not a fan of reading. I'd rather listen.
Several weeks ago, I watched videos. I forgot. Not really fetishes, but he said that I forgot the speaker. Who's the speaker? But fetish is kind of unacceptable by the social, but when the social accept it, it's kind of the norm. Like take as an example as having a child. Maybe people addicted to have a child. It's kind of fetish, but it is acceptable for the our society. So, have you ever thought about that? That having a child might be a fetish too, but it is understandable and acceptable for the society.
Well, then what makes a fetish a fetish? Things that are unacceptable to society, or what? I think that's an issue of the definition of fetish. I'll look it up actually right now.
Okay.
Yeah. A form of sexual desire in which gratification is linked to an abnormal degree to a particular object, item of clothing, part of body, etc. So a form of desire, a sexual desire in which gratification is linked to an abnormal degree. Or an inanimate object worshipped for its supposed magical powers, or because it is considered to be inhabited by a spirit. Okay, that's something else. All right, fuck. All right. So over too much sexual stimulation towards one thing. Do you think women get sexual stimulation from pushing a baby out of their vaginas? Okay, I see fisting videos. They seem pretty happy. Not all. I've heard women don't like getting fisted. Some do.
Not all, of course. It's
been to Brazil. Had some experience, but would it be a fetish if they enjoyed it too much? Like if the doctor is like delivering the baby and the woman's moaning instead of crying. He's like, yo, don't have more babies. It's not good for you.
No way.
I actually never thought about that. I mean, I thought about it from the disgust aspect, that it's this, like if it's about 30 feet or whatever, it's biologically harmful for us to be around bacteria and all that stuff. But yet we know how disgusting it is, and yet we do it anyway. So it's, I don't know, like the thinking mind is the prefrontal cortex, isn't it?
Yeah, and prefrontal.
That's and the deeper mind is like the reptilian mind, the fucking whatever. And maybe that deeper mind is like, oh, I like this. But the prefrontal cortex doesn't have as much power, and it's like, yo, we shouldn't do this. So like the societal norms don't matter as much because they do it anyway. Like
Yeah,
people fuck
maybe.
kids, right?
Mhm.
People have sex with kids. Societally, totally unacceptable, and yet they're willing to take that risk, even though they know the the detriments. So,
Mhm.
hmm. So it's deep. It's deep. It's
Mhm.
crazy. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at the globe, and it says male under Maldives. Male. That's a place. We have a male place. Sorry, off topic. Um, no, we had a topic that wasn't to do with fetishes, because like I remember us talking about. Um, well, you love learning psychology,
Mhm.
and then something out of that conversation, we're like, oh yeah, we can talk about that. But I don't think it was fetishes. Could have been something else. Well,
Mhm.
doesn't matter what it is. Do you have something that you've been learning about recently, or you've been focused on for the past while that you're interested in?
Um, Machiavellianism.
You were talking about wait, yeah, about the women in leadership. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, women in
That's it.
leadership. Also Machiavellianism, because I have interest in that topic study, because leadership, as what people know, it's kind of a amazing, like amazing person who has their own vision, their own goals, and then they have to convey their message to other people or their groups, and it's kind of charismatic and very eloquent. It's very awesome to be a leader. But if we uncover what's behind a leader, some research say that they might be has some kind of dark triad personality. Dark triad personality. There are three kind of personality in dark triad. One of them is Machiavellianism. The other
What does
two,
that what does that mean? If you would have the
it's
definition.
um, it's kind of a manipulative personality. You take advantage of other people emotions. Maybe gaslighting. It's kind of a manipulative. Um, you make other people miserable because of certain condition. It's like, you know can you help me, because you don't have anything works to do, so you have to help me, please. That's kind of a manipulative, and at the same time, this person who asks you doing another things that profitable for them, so they just want you to do their work, yeah, while they
So,
do their work.
if I'm getting this correctly, it's basically exploiting people for their benefit.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's the definition of Machiavellianism. The means, wait, I forgot the phrase. I forgot. But
No worries.
yeah, there's kind of research that actually a leader has to be Machiavellianism personality, because they have to make advantage of other groups to be kind of benefit to their groups, to their own groups. So actually, a leader is not always kind of a saint who wants to save everybody.
Hmm. But maybe we take advantage of a leader to get us out of a situation.
Yeah, of course, we
Like,
get the advantage too.
yeah, like
Mm.
what's his name? That fat old guy in the during World War Two. Churchill. Fat old guy.
Oh, Mr. Churchill.
Churchill. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
great leader.
yeah. Hmm.
Got out of
Yeah.
some troubles.
Hmm.
Um, had a pretty wild life. He was painting, even though he was a shitty painter. He was bricklaying, even though his bricklaying was awful. He was doing anything that he actually liked. add anything and everything that he liked, just because he liked it, and also being a great leader.
Mm,
But yeah, we took advantage of Churchill to get us out of some tricky situations during World War II.
mm, yeah.
So we also take advantage of those guys for having
Mm,
that personality.
mm,
You
mm.
said there's three definitions or three things to a leader, or like common things to a leader. I think you just mentioned that first one, which I can't pronounce.
The dark triad,
Yeah.
the dark triad personality. There are three personalities, kind of. So it's narcissistic, psychopath, and the third one is Machiavellianism. It's kind of the dark triad. But maybe there's another new personality, that new personality. It's I forgot, but yeah. Anyway, I forgot
Hmm.
what's the personality. It's
Narcissism doesn't sound
it's
like it's a
dark
good
too.
leadership role, though. Oh, no, no,
Mm.
no, no, wait. Psychopathic, sorry, psychopath. Like, I understand. Like, it seems understandable. Just seems like unstable.
No,
I don't know
psychopathic
why.
doesn't have any empathy to others, so it won't be a good leader. Although they really great at masking their emotions, but
Yeah,
it's not a good leader.
yeah. It doesn't sound stable.
And also
Um,
narcissistic is not a good leader also. Yeah.
Usually, you want empathy for a leader to know what the people
Mm.
need and give it to them.
Yeah.
Find a way of getting it to them.
Hmm.
Speaking about that, we also mentioned the pay gap between men and women working in the same jobs. You want to cover that?
Yeah. No, I'm not deeply having a research about that, but several years ago in Indonesia, there's a pay gap in the workforce. So when male have family, they kind of have these benefits. But when female doing the same job, she doesn't have any the same benefit as male because they thought that female has husband and the husband is also working and they have a higher salary. That's the assumptions of the society. um, Male has to be a hard worker than the female, so the female doesn't have any benefit in the salary for a family, but male do have that. So it's kind of
I
um,
don't. I didn't understand the last
unfair.
point that the female doesn't have a benefit from having a family, but the men do.
Mhm.
Can you explain that again?
Because the male assumed to be a breadwinner of the family, so they have kind of kids, kind of a wife, and but the female,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, they
I
are
get
not
you.
a
I get you now.
breadwinner.
So this was
Mm-hmm.
actually happening in Indonesia
But
a
I
few
don't
years
know
ago.
if it's a few years ago, but I don't know if it's already changed or not. So
Yeah, I can't. I
maybe
can't
maybe
debate
there's
an actual fact because
mm,
if that actually happened, then okay.
it actually happens.
Well, I have
So
so many counter arguments, but anyway. Um, I
yeah,
was
it's but
carrying.
in Indonesia it's already better than the previous years compared to other country. Let's say Japan. Um, the female roles in Japan, it's not really significant that uh, they do have workforce like for female can work outside of the family, but to be a leader, I think it's not that much in Japan. So it's kind of
What do you mean
there's
it's
a
not that much? There's not
difference.
much female leaders in Japan.
Leaders, yes, there's not much. There's not that much compared to Indonesia. So I think Indonesia is already better than the previous, and I hope the other countries kind of follow the same path, because we have kind of a
Do you think it might be
community.
an issue of temperament? Maybe women in Indonesia just have a better temperament, or like their mindset is better suited for that
Uh,
than women in
um,
Indonesia.
maybe
No,
the
than women
value.
in
Hmm.
Japan.
In Japan, maybe the values of the people, or the characteristic, because in Indonesia, it's if you know about ocean, or kind of a big five. Um, so openness, and
Conscientiousness,
conscientiousness,
extroversion,
extraversion, agreeableness,
agreeabiliness, and neuroticism.
neuroticism. The agreeableness is kind of high in Indonesia, so every idea, it's kind of accepted. So they are very tolerant about a differences. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So low in agreeableness could be a factor of women in Japan not being. That's weird because you would always. So I mean, it's a factor. It's not all of it.
Haha. not
So
not not
women
all of
in
it.
women in Indonesia are more agreeable.
The whole society, not only women but also the males.
Okay.
um, but what happens in Japan is kind of patriarchal, and the male kind of having a really really strong roles in the
Because it
society.
feels like agreeableness would be not a leadership role. It feels
Mhm.
like, if you're high in agreeableness, it's hard for you to talk for yourself and ask for a raise. Or,
Mm.
hmm. I mean, if it's everyone in
Not
as a society, maybe
in general.
yeah, maybe it's fine. Maybe it's like, okay, well then you have an even playing field of agreeableness. Men generally have less of that agreeableness
Mhm.
trait in them than females do. But
Mhm.
hmm, well, that's an interesting fact. But there's more
Yeah,
women in
yeah, it's
Indonesia than in leadership roles.
agreeableness. Yeah. And sometimes agreeableness, lay people see that agreeable people is kind people, because they just agree with everything. So
Yeah,
they deem that this person is kind and
the,
friendly
the
and other things.
the other side of that coin is they become resentful and spiteful because they can't speak for themselves, so they get
Yeah, yeah,
manipulated.
yeah. Mm. Um, no, there's no correlation with the manipulators, but the agreeableness kind of um, I don't know, because everyone is different how um, to agree with something. But in my opinion, if someone cannot manage their own emotion, or just they go follow with the other people and agree with everything else, of course they're not happy.
Well, they can't put out their own opinion.
Mm.
It there's usually an issue between relationships where the guy would be less disagreeable, more
Mm.
disagreeable, and the woman would be more
Mm.
agreeable. And the common problem would be like the guy asking the woman what does she want, and she doesn't know. So the guy does what he wants, and then she's like, "I'm not getting what I want. I don't even know
Oh,
what I
really?
want, but I'm not getting it."
Yeah,
So
it
and
might be
then
like
and
that.
resentment might build.
It's kind of. Have you ever heard about passive aggressive?
That's yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, passive aggressive, when they can't express um, directly their feelings.
Do you think it's passive aggressive? Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if you can't express what you want and yet you don't know what you want.
Um,
Or
Not really.
it's more like,
They
what do you
know.
want? Well, what do you want? That's the counter
Mm-hmm.
question. It's like, no, well, I want you
Mm-hmm.
to have a, fucking whatever,
Mm-hmm.
a good
Yeah,
meal. If it's like,
they know what they want, but they just give another a clue or some kind of a hint that other people hope to see that kind of clue and read that. But
I think a
yeah,
good way
it's
to
fun.
exploit it is like, guess where I'm taking you. So they
Yeah.
just name the first thing that they would like. Let's go there. I tried using that one time to buy Christmas presents for my siblings, but then I revealed the thing that I'm doing, and then it'll never work ever again. Because if I said, guess what I'm gonna get you for Christmas, and then I forget if they didn't guess yet.
Mm.
And I mentioned this is what I'm actually doing, and now it's never gonna work because now they know. So I'm like, fuck, I should never reveal this secret. Oh well. I thought it
Yeah,
was a great idea, but I don't know. Maybe it's not.
yeah.
Speaking of being controlled by your impulses, I think like addiction is different, or maybe it's not. Do you think being controlled by your impulses and addiction is different?
Mm. Being controlled
No,
by
it can't be.
impulses.
Yeah. So when I thought about that, I was thinking about, well, honestly, I was thinking about masturbation, and masturbation is an addiction. Because like when you come, you're like, shit, you don't feel that good.
Mm.
You're like, damn, I
Mm.
can't control myself. I wish I was better. Whatever. You
Mm.
have all these regrets and whatnot. I I
Mm.
mean that's an addiction. But if someone scares you, and you're like, oh, that's not
Mm.
that's not you know addiction. That's just being controlled by your impulse of fright. Hmm.
Mm. Because the impulse, what I know, is like kind of a OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Uh, let's say that the symmetric obsessions. So there's certain people that if they see a certain asymmetric things, they just want to fix it to be symmetrical. So when they cannot control themselves, they just fix this kind of symmetrical things. That's controlled by the impulsive, in my opinion. So um, yeah, it's different with addiction. Addiction is kind of you are addicted to something. Uh, you are realize that it's it what makes you comfortable at that moment. But what happens to impulsive is you have the urge, you have a drive to do something, and you cannot control it. You just want to do it over. Okay. Like the key, the key. Like, do I lock the key already? And then when people doesn't have any control with their feeling, they just back to the home and check whether they lock the door or not. So that's being controlled by impulsive.
I
But I don't
watched
know
a lot of
what's.
upset. I watched a lot of those cleaning videos on TLC. Not the clean videos, the guys who have OCD and they want everything clean. And I watched a lot of those videos, and then they check the door handle if they lock the door 17 times, and it has to be 17.
Yeah,
So then they have to go.
yeah,
Damn, what a
control.
tough life. That's
Yeah,
a tough life. Wouldn't enjoy that.
yeah.
Um,
It's kind of torture to have that kind of disorder.
One line I listened to from Chris Williamson. He,
Hmm.
I'm gonna butcher exactly what he said, but I'll get the context. I'll get the gist of it. Geniuses from every century come down to the same old truths. So he was talking about how um, like things will always change, like societies will change, like norms will change,
Mm.
life will fucking be the same though. There's always rules, there's always things that stay constant, like those, like the old sayings, they're always constant in whatever society. Like, no man is an island. There's no such thing as free lunch. Easy come, easy go. Like these sayings stand the test of time because they're constant truths, and simple old truths might be the answer to complex issues that we might be having today. Like, right now, there's the leftists are, having a debate if sex and gender are the same thing, if men are women and women are men, and how many genders are there. And yet, that's something that's been talked about, like, that's something that's been known for centuries, and yet we're talking about it again. And yet you can, how is he describing it? And yet you can, fuck. Now I'm flustered. Now I'm like, shit, how do I bring this back full circle? He was getting at that you can solve this issue with simple truths. I forget how he did it though. Now I look like a fucking retard. But I like the idea that he said geniuses from every century come down to the old truths. That things that your parents say can be the answer to whatever complex issue you're having right now. And I think I like that idea because I've been reading through these old sayings. I feel like they're like a cheat code to life. If you needed a way out, if you needed some help, just go to the old sayings that have helped people for thousands of years, and you might find an answer. So I don't know. That just spoke to me today. That and Chris talking about embracing your weirdness.
Because, in my opinion, I believe that the world is more customized to individual needs. I believe it will be different with the future, of course, but it will be more comfortable to human, because, well, I don't know, but what happens in the future, but it will be more acceptable to be weird in society than it used to be. Um, yeah, I think the world is more individualized and customized to everyone needs.
I think so too.
Mhm.
You see how big corporations are falling,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of podcasters and individual news anchors or whatever. Like there's the individual small groups that are doing the job of the big companies, the big corporations. That it's now
Mhm.
highly individualized. There used to be only 3 channels on the TV. There's
Mhm. Yeah.
a million podcasters saying the same thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, it's like in Russia, there only used to be a can of beans, a can of whatever.
Mhm.
Like there's only
Mhm.
one of one thing, and now like
Mhm.
there's millions of shampoos, and you can
Mhm.
choose which shampoo feels best to your hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, we're going towards a more
So,
specified reality, a more complex one. I
mm,
like the idea that it's like, you know, you're really different from me, not just because you're a woman, but your personality, your lifetime of experience has made
mhm.
you,
Mhm.
and my lifetime of experience has made me. And it would be great if we can produce something that's specific from us
Mhm.
that society would be glad to have.
Mhm.
I think that's what embracing your weirdness was also aiming at. He was talking about these great people like the Charlie Chaplin, whatever, of,
Mhm.
you know, we wouldn't get those people if they didn't embrace what they were.
Mhm. Yeah.
And he also had this. He also brought up this question: do people like you for what you do or for who you are? And then he brought up another guy who talked about who he asked this question to another guy, and he said, "Well, you like yourself when you do something good for yourself, not for who you are right now.
Mhm.
So whenever you do a hard workout or you don't eat that unhealthy food, you're like, oh, that's great, but you don't like yourself for just being you. And I think he didn't mention Peterson, but I'd mention Peterson. Peterson talks about you are not just you, you're also you that can form the potential future you. So you are someone that's you and someone that can build the future you. So that's why you should measure. It's better being better than being who you are. So you can it's better being better than being who you are. So
you can't
how do we
compare with other people, right?
yeah,
You,
yeah,
you
yeah. You
can't
can't
you
compare
can't
with other people, and then it's
mm,
Look, I forgot how to bring it full circle. I forgot
mm,
my trajectory. But embracing your weirdness. I forgot how my trajectory went. That's 2 strikes. Fucking goddamn it! I was so close, and then wait, how was I going about it? Charlie Chaplin, being weird. Doing. Do people like you for who you are instead of what you do? But you compare yourself. You like yourself for what you do instead of who you are. That's right. Because if you are just the same way you were from when you were 3 years old, you would be an adult infant. You wouldn't
yeah.
be anything good. Society would be like, what the hell? Like, he needs special ed. But you're constantly growing. So, yeah, that question, do people like you for what you do or for who you are, is a difficult one.
Mm,
Probably is
yeah.
for what you do.
Yeah, because people have their own experience, so we can compare ourselves with other people. So if we want to compare, if we success or not, it will be best if we compare with our past self than with other people. Yeah.
I was more thinking about, like, we don't love Michael Jackson for him just being Michael Jackson. We love him for him creating all of those amazing songs. And yes, touching kids' assholes, but I mean,
It's,
you have to do what you have to do. But we love Michael Jackson for the amazing songs that he's created, but not just because he's a guy, some guy with a voice.
but he has distinguished character about him. There's something different about him that makes him loved by other people. So
Yeah, true. He has that celebrity character. So he
yeah.
doesn't seem any bit normal to society's standards. He doesn't seem any bit like, oh, that's just Fred from the bakery. He's Michael fucking Jackson. He walks a certain way, he talks a certain way, he acts a certain way. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. I like the doing you become, becoming you have. So instead of wanting €1 million, becoming a person that would make €1 million and then having it. Because if you're not a millionaire in your mindset, you'll lose it instantly once you get it. Like those when you win the lottery. So maybe Michael Jackson was doing the things to become Michael Jackson to get to the point where he was making those records. He was such a cultural phenomenon because, like, there's so many famous singers now, famous whatever dancers, singers. There was only one Michael Jackson back in the day, and maybe a few other singers. There's like far less famous people than there are now. I think famous is not being. I think famous is losing its value. So there's so many famous people.
Not losing its value, but I think when you capture what other people mind at that time, and it might be good to just doing it that way, and when other people just accept it and it's very different with other people, I think that makes you kind of famous, but
Being contrarian, doing
yeah,
things
contrarian,
differently.
yeah, doing something different, yeah.
But does that prove the point that being famous is losing its value? If you're
I
just
don't
simply
know,
being
because the media plays a lot of roles in that kind of you know famous thing. The
I was just
media
thinking
plays
from the
so.
simple fact of, like, if you have too much of something, it's losing its value. Like the dollar.
Mm,
There was as many printed dollars this year in America as there were in all of America's history. The
It's
dollar is going to
inflation.
drop, and yeah, it's going to crash like anytime soon.
Yeah.
So the more of the dollar, the less it's worth. So I was thinking it from that perspective. Like, the more famous people there are, the less valuable famous people are. I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's the way I was thinking about it. But if there was that one Michael Jackson and then a few other famous people, these are like few idols amongst billions of people. They're like, wow, oh my God, it's Michael Jackson. But I could be wrong. There's what? How many people exist right now? One sec.
7 billion? I don't know. Maybe approximately.
7.7. 7.7.
7.7. Wow. So
That was in 2020. What about 2021?
it's increasing.
7.9.
Really?
In 1 year. Yeah, in 1 year. And now it's 7.9.
Damn.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Wow.
I think there's enough people to make famous people still famous. Never mind. And thanks to Elon Musk with his Starlink, giving people gigabyte per second fast internet in third world countries, we're going to get those billions of people that are in the dark now on the net. I think like right now, well, it's already in play, but like right now is when the third world countries are getting the internet that they didn't have, or the speed that they didn't have. So now there's going to be, I think online business is going to be booming more than ever. Well, also thanks to COVID, online businesses, grew like rapidly. Online traffic, I meant. But like, thanks to Elon, we have like 1 billion plus more people on the net. So yeah, famous people will still be famous because 7.9 billion people. Yeah, that's a lot of people. Do you think it's good? Do you think it's great that we can all be connected? Like, let's say there's one Facebook and there's 7.9 billion users. Do you think that's a benefit to society, to humanity, or is it a detriment?
Yeah. I don't know, because the technology is so advanced.
It is godlike.
Yeah, it will
We
be
can
a
detect
benefit.
what people are thinking before they're thinking it.
Yeah, it will be benefit, but also it's kind of a double sword edge. Yeah.
Someone had this
At
beautiful
one thing,
line. Sorry, carry on.
at one thing, it's good thing, but another thing, if people cannot, they are not ready to exposed by the information, like the culture, or what is the effect of to have that kind of information. I think it will be detrimental to them. So they need to filter. They need to have this kind of they need to selective about what they need to apply to their life, rather than just accept all of the informations. This is good, this is not good, but they don't know whether it is actually good for them or not. So yeah, people need to be selective sometimes.
And they might be influenced by that information in ways that they wouldn't be if the internet wasn't there. And this is reminding me of the story Tower of Babel, where they built this tower, and because they can all work together. And then God is like, yo, I'm going to give you multiple languages so I can't build this tower ever again. So like if we're all connected, we can all have like one language, Google Translate, and we can all understand what we're trying to say and work together perfectly. But then something might happen and just pull the plug. Tower of Babel, I forget. But
Bubble tower.
yeah, do you know the story?
Yeah, I know the Bubble tower.
Feels like something like that might happen. I mean, it easily can. Like, pull the plug on electricity now. That's it. There's no more communication.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're all in the dark. Now they, even with the language barriers that we have, we don't have that Google Translate, whatever. Yeah. Makes you think that the Babel Tower, was that in the Bible? Was it?
Yeah, it's in the Bible actually.
Makes you think if they repeated the same history. I mean, everyone knows history repeats, so just in a different way. How did it repeat before computers? How did someone think of that idea?
But I think there's one point that people will be kind of reach in the maximum point of their changing, like the evolution of the people. I don't know. Maybe there's this
peak evolution.
Yeah, the peak of evolutions. I don't know.
Do you think that would be with symbiosis between man and computer? That would be peak evolution, because we are like Neolithic creatures using how did he say it? He said it so beautifully. We are like Neolithic creatures using in medieval institutions, utilizing godlike technology, and that's why we have the same. That godlike technology can manipulate our Paleolithic, Neolithic minds. It's so easy for us to be clicking on the same type of videos because that's what our brain likes. It's highly dangerous for us to be wielding this godlike technology. Like I was listening to the algorithms and how algorithms are dangerous for us as a society, as a humanity, and how we're still so simple. We still have the same brain as way like thousands of years, and yet we have this godlike ability to control the world in any way we want.
Yeah,
I just like that saying, the way he said it. It sounds so beautiful.
But I believe as long as we are alive, we kind of depend on the nature also. So people need to consider about the effect to the nature, because we cannot live without nature also. Yeah.
Well, we only realized that we are a part of nature in like after World War II. We're like, oh shit, we have an impact on nature. I think it was after World War II. We're like, oh, gas emissions. Oh, we should place a cap on these cars not fuming all these toxic gases into the ozone layer, because the ozone layer is diminishing. I think after World War II, we're like, oh shit.
Not really World War II, but the evolution of industrial. In 1907, 1901, and in Britain, if I'm not mistaken, because they kind of found a technology, steam. I forgot. Steam machine.
Like the steam train.
Yeah, the steam train. Yeah, they found that kind of technology. That's the revolution of technology. So it happens in Britain, but yeah, it's kind of influence the other country as well. And since then on, the technology is kind of uncontrollable.
How are you relating the technological advancement of the steam train to us understanding that we can control, we impact the environment? I didn't see that link.
It's mass production. It's because the mass production, people can produce a lot of things at once, so they don't need any more labor. So all of that because of the machine, one machine.
Well, that was yeah. I get your point. Yeah, it probably started then. The only thing that I'm thinking about, I didn't think about that. I was only exposed to, like, in the 50s, we had more food than we ever realized, that more food than we needed. So in the 60s and 70s, there's so many workout programs on the TV, like having those headbands, those quirky those quirky videos
Yeah.
of it working out because people got so fat. They never had this
Mm,
amount of food overproduction,
mhm,
and they're like, oh shit, we have an impact on the world and whatever. They were using paper bags,
mm,
and then
mhm.
after a while, they're like, shit, we're destroying all the trees, and then they use plastic bags, and they're like, oh shit,
Mhm.
we're destroying the ocean. What else do we have? So we stayed with plastic bags because, well, are you going to cut out all the trees? No.
Mhm.
Um, no one found a real solution to plastic bags though. Like we have like the fake plastic, the what organic, that's like
Mhm.
if you wet it, it like disintegrates.
Mhm.
But
Mhm. Mhm.
that's not really introduced. That's not implemented anywhere really.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I was thinking
that's
about
what like the.
the food overproduction and the CO2 emissions. So they place
Mm,
the in the car exhaust pipes, um, these precious metals that's like stop the
mhm, mhm,
harmful gases that are coming out and destroying the ozone layer. But yeah, I didn't think about the steam train.
mm. But
That was good.
in my opinion, why people kind of overproduce food in 1950 or 1960? Because there's
After
after
the
World
war,
War,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
after the war, they want to rebuild the economy, so they encouraged people to be more consumptive uh,
Do you think that's what it was?
to the product.
Oh, do you think that's what it was, or could it be that, oh shit, we've survived such a hell, let's
No,
party?
no, no. It's
Like
because
the
they want
Roaring
to
Twenties
rebuild.
after World War I, were
Mm,
just fucking whatever, and Boomer babies after World War II, they're just having so
mm,
much sex. They're like, oh my god, and
mm,
then Boomer babies because
mm,
everyone just started fucking.
mm. In my
So
opinion, because
what
they
do you
want
think
to
your point?
rebuild.
What do you
Yeah,
think your
they
point is
want
about?
to rebuild the economy. Like after the World War, a lot of people died, and they need citizens to do the jobs in the country, like agriculture, agrarism. I
Ag-
don't know,
Agriculture?
agriculture. Yeah, agriculture, and also the uh, other field like the military thing. So they need more people to uh, make their country stronger. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's why there are a lot of foods. There are a lot of babies, like baby boomer. They want to encourage people to be more consumptive, to make another baby, to be soldiers, and yeah, World War II.
But do you think that cripples the economy if there's more jobs?
No, the opposite. At the time, it will be the opposite because a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of people
because
will.
it's overproduction, using machines
Yeah,
to do the
yeah,
job of a
yeah.
man. I get
Mm-hmm,
you. I get you.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, I heard Naval Ravikant said we're never going to run out of jobs because we keep on evolving.
Mm-hmm.
If there were the same amount of jobs in the Paleolithic times when we're just hunting animals,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't like there's never like there's only a certain amount of jobs you can do in the Paleolithic times, and then came the times of like agriculture, and then there was a certain amount of jobs that you can only do in agriculture times. Okay, you make pots, you make whatever, and then another revolution, the Iron Age. There's only a certain amount
Mm-hmm.
of jobs, but uh, society kept on advancing to get more jobs in. So, like I would
Mm-hmm.
say, with the technological industry, the advancement of these overproducing machinery,
Mm-hmm.
engineering became such a big thing. The STEM fields in colleges became a big thing. I think maybe our society will evolve and then create more jobs. Like
Mm-hmm.
computers weren't a thing until like recently, and now most of the jobs like during COVID were online. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah, yeah.
so maybe that was great for economy. Like I know your point, but then I'm also thinking, well, what about this? What about there's always going to be new jobs because society is always evolving.
Yeah.
Not always.
Um,
Sometimes they
uh,
come.
it's as I said earlier, people get more individualized and customized the technology, uh, following the people, the society. Like a vlogger, they don't consider a vlogger as a job, but
True.
today, yeah, there are a lot of vloggers as a basic
They're
job.
making
So
money. They're making
yeah,
serious money. Yeah.
yeah, they have a lot of profits from that. So yeah, there's kind of a change of value in our society about the job. So job, there's a people, there's also a job. So um, yeah,
I don't think
there are a lot of variation of jobs.
I don't think we'll reach a time when we won't have jobs. Like I think we have that idea that we can industrialize everything and have robots running everything, algorithms, AI, and then we can just sit back, eat pizza. But then
Mm.
like the scene from what
Wall
Wally.
E, Wall
Yeah,
E, yeah,
I don't think humans like that. Humans are creative
no,
creatures and they always
Mhm.
like to explore and do things themselves.
Mm.
I think and we like physical struggle and tussle and we
Mm.
like
Mm.
doing things with our bodies. I don't
And
think
I
we'll
think
ever
at
reach the time.
yeah, I think at some point people will realize that what they do is wrong. Like 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 what we're doing with our nature. Maybe some years ago we don't realize that the industrial or the plastic bag will be detrimental for the environment, but now they realize that it is kind of
Yeah,
detrimental. So when they kind of reach a certain point, they will realize about one thing, how to survive their future generations. So I really hope that it will accelerate to save the future.
I think thanks to Elon Musk, we're also moving planets. We're moving to a different
Mm.
planet, and I'm sure there's going to be different resources on Mars that we don't have on Earth. Like they found bacteria on Mars and the ice on Mars. So there is water, there is bacteria, there is some sort of life on Mars. Bacteria is life. So I think that will give us another advantage on life because life can just throw a meteor at your face and you that's it. But then if we have us on different planets, we just have a bigger chance. So maybe Elon Musk is
What
giving
what
us that
if
chance.
what if we have the same characteristic, the same behavior, like what we do with the Earth, and we kind of behave the same way at the other planet. So the other planet kind of have the exact same conditions with the Earth.
I know that
So,
overfishing is a big problem.
uh,
Overfishing is ruining, whatever the fish,
mm,
and the trees. We're cutting down the Amazon and planting soybean farms, and that's destroying the Amazon. But about the oil, they've been
mm,
speculating that the oil is going to dry up in the 70s and then the 80s, then the 90s, and
mm,
we're still talking about oil, but it never dried up. And now America is at an export of its own oil. America is now exporting more oil than it is taking from like one of those Afghani countries, Afghani countries, what am I saying? But it's now an exporter of oil. So like
mm,
plenty of oil. And we've been always saying, oh, we're going to run out, but we still have it.
mm,
I know your points. I think we're such great people. We're such a great species at making one thing that seemed useless now useful, and we just do
mm,
that way too much to exploit that thing out of existence.
mm,
Um, and we might do that on Mars. Maybe it would just take a long, long time. You
mm,
know how Elon suggested one way of making Mars habitable was throwing a nuclear bomb on the poles and then heating up the atmosphere because it's very cold, and then that
mm,
way it would be a faster way of making it more habitable. So I
mm,
thought that's pretty cool. And making so the way they would make living space in Mars would they would drill into the cliffs, so it has the benefit of having sunlight, because humans need to see the sun, otherwise we perish. And it gains the benefit of radiation doesn't go through like the top in, because you're in the side of a cliff. So you get the benefit of sunlight and less radiation. So like we're really close to Mars. When actually I can Google when is he set. Are we going to Mars? Musk. 2026. That's in 5 years. 5 years time, he's planning on getting people to Mars.
Yeah.
And he's planning on having 1 million people on Mars, and he's gonna join when he's old. Man, the future is so close. Do you think you'd, if in this lifetime? Oh no, it is in this lifetime. Do you think you'll take a microchip in your brain and have a symbiosis between machine and you?
It reminds me of. Have you ever watched about Mnemonic? Johnny Mnemonic?
No.
It's Keanu Reeves, by Keanu Reeves. Mnemonic.
Keanu Reeves, yeah. Mnemonic, no.
No, Mnemonic. So, people have chips in their brains, and they have secrets of organization in their brains, and yeah, it's kind of a. I don't know. Maybe that's the future.
I think it already is the future. We've implanted it in monkeys and pigs. Monkeys played video games with this chip already. I think it was what's it called? That game where there's two paddles moving up and down, and then there's a ball hitting against those two paddles.
Yeah, it's pinball.
What's that?
Pinball.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, monkeys already played that game, and they implanted those chips into pigs, and we can see the thoughts of a pig, or its snout touching something, and you can see the excitement in its brain. So we're so close to human symbiosis, and it's called Neuralink. He wants to start with people that have like no retinas in their eyes, so they're fully blind, people that are fully paralyzed, and heal those areas that they can finally see, or they can finally move. So stimulate areas in the brain, so growth happens in those areas, and regrow retinas, regrow connections between the spine and the body, and have people moving again. So it sounds like woo-woo crazy shit that can never exist, and yet it's going to exist like next year. Or no, he wanted to say this year, but because of COVID, everything got pushed back. So sometime in these following years, that's going to happen in humans. So exciting.
It's fascinating. Yeah. It reminds me about several days ago about a patient of retin failure. What's I forgot, because they implant the organ of a pig in their body.
The heart, isn't it? But yeah, I've heard of like liver or heart, one of those.
No, it's kind of a kidney.
Okay.
The kidney of a pig.
Yeah.
So the kidney of a pig implanted to a body of a human, and they kind of made it. So it's amazing. Like, do you think it will be possible to have a hybrid between human and an animal?
No, they exist.
Oh, really?
The human animal hybrids exist. This is not they existed for ages, and so there was a conference between some American officials where they're like, should we stop this experimentation with human animal hybrids? And they're off by 1 point, off by one vote, where not to stop it. So human animal hybrids have existed for a long time. This is no conspiracy theory.
But I don't know if
they were thinking, like you can recreate a dog identical to another dog, like Barbara Streisand. When her, I don't know if Barbara Streisand is a woman or a man. I've fucking no idea. I just
Women.
listen. Woman, all right. Barbara makes sense. Her dog died, and she basically 3D printed the same dog, right? Alive again. Like I don't know how, but they had the
Cloning?
genes and they had the DNA of her old dog that died and made a new dog with the exact same.
So it's a
So they
clone.
Sorry?
A clone.
Clone. Yeah, they clone. There we go. I'm fucking
Ah.
retard. Yeah, they cloned the dog.
Oh.
So it's entirely possible that you can clone a human, and would that human have the same would the same rules apply to that human as us? And the answer was like yes, or something like that. This was something I heard from like a while ago from fucking Alex Jones, the guy with all the conspiracy theories, but he was talking to Theo Von, a comedian, and Theo Von asked, like, if you would want to start with conspiracy theories that are like factual, which one would you go with? And he said about animal human hybrids. So if you clone a human, he would have the same laws and um, benefits that we do. But yet, if he has animal DNA inside of him, if he has animal organs inside of him, he won't have the same type of privileges as us humans do. So animal human hybrids have existed for a while, and this is like not a conspiracy, and it sounds wild, but yeah, they have existed. And it was cool that you can grow an ear from the cells of an apple, and it's thankfully an apple, if you split it in half, it looks like an ear, so you can grow an ear from the cells of an apple in a dish. So yeah, I think like we can regrow organs, and
I don't know about the regrow organ, but yeah, maybe who knows? Who knows in the future? Um, because we
wait,
don't have that
ear isn't
genetic.
an organ, no. Ear isn't an organ.
No, not an
No, it's not
organ,
an organ.
but
Right. But we can regrow an ear, and that's one thing that we can definitely regrow.
yeah.
And we can recreate meat. That's cool. It just costs us a lot to recreate meat.
Really, it's artificial food then.
Yeah, but yet it's made from cells, made from like, you can take cells from a living cow, and not damage it, and and grow it in a dish and make meat. It's super costly. That's why it's not mass produced, but yet we can do it. And this was in like 2015. This was news when I was back in school. So they made a hamburger. Of course they did.
Yeah, hamburger. I think
They
I've
made a
heard
hamburger.
that news before.
Yeah. So they're thinking, oh, we can end killing animals with this.
Yeah, the animals.
I mean, it sounds good, but also cows. Because of cows, we have so much CO2 in the air. Methane. Cows fart a lot.
Yeah.
So much methane from those guys.
Feces
So
of
fucking
cow.
kill them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But not only cow, but cow is only one thing. But there are a lot of factors that make CO2 in our
India,
Earth.
actually,
China.
or China, they were thinking about global warming. Global warming is a big thing nowadays, but they were thinking, well, how would we minimize it the best way, the most efficient and the best way possible, efficiently and effectively? And the conclusion was getting India to use coal instead of wood, because producing coal instead of wood, because coal doesn't produce CO2 as much as wood does, or at least at all. I don't know. So if we get in third world countries, especially India, to use coal instead of wood, we would reduce CO2 drastically in the ozone layer. And the northern hemisphere has the same amount of trees as it used, like almost the same amount of trees as it ever did, because the northern hemisphere has been using coal instead of wood. The southern hemisphere has been using wood, and they're producing a lot of CO2. So if we can get third world countries, especially India, to use coal, that would cut CO2 drastically.
I'm not sure because India. There are a lot of people in India, but I
You can
think
look this up. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. You can look this up. Getting India to use CO2 or third world countries to use CO2 coal instead of wood. This
what's in
was
India.
Peterson talked about it. He got it from some studies based on a consensus of intellectuals. I never looked into the study, but I'm sure I can Google it right now. CO2. Well, the first thing that popped up is better for the environment to burn wood or coal. Okay, it said wood. In fact, burning wood is far more environmentally friendly alternative to fossil fuels. Interesting. That was 21st of May 2019. Where is the thing that I'm trying to find? Insider. Why burning trees? Okay, 1 second. Oh, there we go. Okay, I found it. BBC.
Mm-hmm.
Climate change. Why India can't live without coal. Wait, what? India, the third largest emitter of fossil fuels, still relies heavily on coal. Wait, is it the opposite way around?
Yeah, because I think the coal is
I
kind
might
of.
have got it the opposite way around. As nations have urged to phase it out, how easy will it be for India, a fast-growing and developing nation, to ditch the crucial energy resource? Oh, maybe I got the opposite way around. I'm glad that we looked into it. Oh, 1 second. What are you also looking into it? I'll look into what Peterson said.
I look
Maybe
into
they have
India emission.
maybe they have a source in the description.
They depend on the coal.
Oh yeah, I've heard there's emissionless coal. Okay,
Emissions
I found it.
coal.
I found it. Yeah, not emissionless coal, but smokeless coal. There we go.
Oh.
And apparently it's like really clean coal and also found in America.
Hmm. I think I read it
I
somewhere.
found it.
It's
I
in
found it.
China.
I found it. So there's a tweet by Jordan Peterson. What is going to happen if India runs out of coal? But it will be good for the planet. Nothing could be more false. And then he cites this study. Surprise, surprise! Energy crisis grips the world. And then there we go. This is what he was referring to. Sadly, I'm gonna send you a link. Daily Mail. All right, 1 second. Boom, boom, boom. But I send it to your. I don't think you're on Messenger now.
No, it's best in email or in
Oh! I
a.
can send it to the comments. There we go.
Oh yeah,
That'll be
chat in the
much better.
chat.
There we go. Daily Mail. Let's read this together. This is what he was referring to. Energy crisis grips the world. Lebanon runs out of power. India warns its coal-fired plants could go dark in just 3 days. Blackouts hit China and gas prices soar in Europe. Lights go out in Lebanon as big as 2 power stations shut due to fuel shortage. Energy network unlikely to be restored for several days, according to officials. Meanwhile, some Chinese provinces are rationing electricity amid crisis. Europeans are paying exorbitant, I don't know that word, prices for liquefying gas, and India is low on coal. Comes as world leaders prepare to meet Glasgow
Glasgow.
for the COP26 summit. But I'm sure if we go down, I'll just search CO2. Maybe I have this couple of CO2. Wait. Maybe this isn't exactly it. This was just on his Twitter feed. It was the first link. I was excited. I was like, oh shit, I found it. They're just talking about, well, not just, but talking about power loss.
Running out of energy
Mm.
in Europe. But,
Wait, maybe he has more links on that. Oh. Okay, 1 second. Why India Needs Coal, the BBC. Also a link by Jordan Peterson. Why India Can't Live Without Coal. Oh, that's the same thing that I looked at earlier. Oh, does that have CO2? Maybe if I spell it better. Oh, damn. This is why you as a lecturer have all the notes prepared before, so I can look into it. Okay, there we go. I think I finally got it. I'll just go out of these sites. Burning coal saved the forest. Jordan Peterson with Galaxy Brain Conservative Think Tank hot takes. Okay, so burning coal saved the forests. Life is complicated, and then he goes into this graph. Okay, I'm gonna send this to you. Here we go. I think this is what he was referring to, and what I was referring to when he was referring to this. There we go. The most important graph in the world. Jonathan Haidt, a well-known psychologist from New York University, started as a typical liberal intellectual, but came to appreciate the awesome ability of free market to improve the lives of the poor. Earlier this year, he penned an essay in which he pointed to what he called the most important graph in the world. The graph reflected Angus Madison data showing a massive increase in wealth throughout the world over the last 2 centuries, and which is reproduced courtesy of human progress below. And then we're looking at this graph that exponentially grows in the 2000s, since the beginning of time, basically. The Great Enrichment, Deirdre McCloskey phrase, elicits different responses in different parts of the world. Hayded noted, when I show this graph in Asia, Hayded writes, the audience love it, and seem to take it as an aspirational roadmap. But when I show this graph in Europe and North America, I often receive more ambivalent reactions. We can't just keep growing forever. Some say we'll destroy the planet. Some say others. These objections seem to come entirely from the political left, which has a history stretching back centuries of ambivalence or outright hostility to capitalism. Hayded's experience mirrors my own. When giving talks about the benefit of free markets, audiences in Europe and America invariably note the supposedly finite nature of growth and express worry about the environmental state of the planet. Why? In Hayded's view, capitalist prosperity changes human conscience. Conscience. Fucking hell. Thank you. In pre-industrial societies, people care about survival As societies get wealthier, life generally gets safer, not just due to reductions in disease, starvation, and vulnerability to natural disasters, but also due to reductions in political brutalization. People get rights. This is long. Where did you get to the actual CO2? 1 second. Oh, there's only 2 more paragraphs. Oh, sorry. The more prosperous generation then starts caring about such things as women's rights, animal rights, gay rights, human rights, and environmental degradation. They start expecting more out of life than their parents did. All that is fine, of course, so long as the pampered youth in the West and newly empowered youth in the Far East remember that roughly 800 million people in the world, many of them in Africa, still live in absolute poverty and experience the kinds of existential challenges that only free markets can solve. Dying dirt poor people access the cheap fossil fuel energy, for example, can mean a death sentence to a newborn child on life support in an electric powered incubator in rural Africa. Let me conclude the 2 final thoughts. First, there is no obvious reason why growth should not continue indefinitely. Although future growth will likely be more dependent on technological change than in the past, in the West, for example, we cannot replicate the growth boost that resulted from the entry of large number of women, 50% of the population, into the labor force. Second, let's not fall into the trap of thinking because the initial stage of industrialization was bad for the environment. Pre-industrialization society saw man and nature coexist in harmony. Part of the reason why industrial revolution started in England was that the country had to switch from almost depleted wood to coal as a source of energy. Industrialization and subsequent enrichment saved European forests, and it can also save Africa as well. Fuck, the very last line of that whole thing was when they moved from wood to coal. When there was almost no wood in England, they moved to coal, and that's what saved them. So I don't know if the people that are going to be watching this later on, I'm sure that they can get the link that I just posted. Finally, I got the right link. But we're looking at a graph of forest area percentage of land, and it shows Europe and Africa, and the forests in Europe were declining. Wait, sorry.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And land
The
area.
The blue line and the yellow line. Orange line. Orange line is Europe. Africa is declining. And the orange line in Europe is inclining. More forest area percentage. So Africa is burning. Third world countries are burning their forests, and Europe is burning its coal. So that's the most important graph on the planet at the moment, in the world, or what the most important graph in the world. Yeah. So
they changed
it's the exponential growth in production, which started it starts somewhere in the 1900s. Well, at 2000 it spikes, but you can see the graph slowly creeping and mass production. And then the second graph is the GDP per person in 1990s international dollars. So the GDP increasing like crazy, and that allows people to think about gay rights, human rights, and all that stuff. And then it talks about how we're using coal instead of wood, and that's saving our forests. Boom! That gives you all 3. That's fantastic. Wait, the first one. What was the first one related to? Goddamn,
international dollars, GDP also.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The first one. Yeah. The first one was GDP. Yeah. International dollars. Second one was also GDP.
But it's only the world. So.
Yeah, that's the world from 1990, and that's. Well, how's it not the same? Wait. It's the same graph but shown differently.
I think it's a whole international dollars in million, but it's
GDP.
the whole. Yeah.
Okay, so the the first one, GDP 1990 international dollars millions, and the second one, GDP per person 1990 international dollars. And the second one is a bit more specific. It shows from the from 1800s, 1820, 1840 up to 2000, and how it's an exponential growth. And then the last graph is talking about forest area, percentage of land area. And it shows from 1990 to 2014 how drastically we saved our forests and how Africa is losing it. Fantastic. That's good news. So if we go to Mars and we do the same shit, fuck. Fantastic news. I don't know if we're gonna go grow trees in Mars like the Martian grows potatoes, the movie. But it would be great. It would be pretty cool. I wonder I don't know if it has new materials, new elements that we don't know of. I mean, we know of many more elements than we have ourselves because of, the periodic table, and then we can guess what the next elements might be on the periodic table that we don't
Do you think it will change our genes? Because,
what exactly?
Because we kind of evolution, kind of like having evolution each time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it doesn't have the same gravity. Well, I think the gravity is. Wait, 1 second. Let me check. Gravity.
I think it will be impact. Has impact.
It's
in the genes.
3.721 m/s. I have no idea, but does that mean it's 3 times heavier? Oh no, gravity is so weak. Since Mars has less mass than Earth, the surface gravity on Mars is less than the surface gravity on Earth. Maybe it's by 3 times. No, the surface gravity on Mars is only about 38% of the surface gravity on Earth. So if you weigh 100 pounds on Earth, you would only weigh 38 pounds on Mars. Okay, so we would lose our bone density. You don't need. That's what when the astronauts go to the space station, they have to work out all the time, and because they lose bone density from the lack of atmospheric pressure. So they have these like bands pulling them down to a treadmill, and they run all the time. I wanted to be an astronaut at one time, so I was learning all about it. I don't know what, I had that sensation that I wanted love, and I confused love with attention. So I thought, if I'm an astronaut, I'll get all the attention in the world. I'll get all the love in the world. But I was learning, that they work out all the time. They lose bone density. So when they come back, it's not only that their muscles, they didn't use their muscles as much, but also the bone density, they lost a lot of bone. So it takes them like a year to recuperate and finally be back to normal.
Yeah, I think it is very risky to make habitats in other planets because
No way. Wait, do you think like aliens, the representation of an alien is a small person? Do you think Mars, you don't need that bone density, so you'll be small? You don't need that mass that we have on Earth, so you'll just shrink? Do you think? I don't know what I'm thinking. We're gonna need those aliens that we saw.
But it might be there's some change in our genetics that we don't know yet about that. And also the materials is very different, and radiation. And also because we are living things, we kind of depends on the oxygens, and like we are very dependent on photosynthesis of plants, and
I think highly adaptable creatures. Yeah, that's one of our superpowers. Highly adaptable. I mean, that's also what we found during COVID times. You would think that we'd be always protesting against the lockdown rules after they told us, okay, wait it out for 2 weeks. And they said, wait it out for 2 weeks, wait it out for a month. Okay, wait it out for 6 months, wait it out for a whole year, wait it out for a year and a half. You'd think people would be protesting, but no, they just adapted. This was from the podcast of, I think, Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro. He was talking about how Ben Shapiro's friends were like, no, like, we're going to obviously protest. Fucking, like, a few people protested. Actually, no, that's false. There's protests, like, around the world, actually, especially in Europe.
Yeah, cool.
against the like Latvia, Australia, whatever protests are going like crazy. But yeah, but not in America. They adapted. Many countries adapted.
Not
Adapted
really.
to the COVID guidelines that are limiting our freedoms.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in Latvia, like you weren't allowed to, like recently, you weren't allowed to leave your house at 6 p.m. as if COVID comes out at 6 p.m. Yeah, after
There's
6 p.m.
curfew.
Curfew. They had curfew in Latvia for like over a month or some shit. They had curfew. Yeah, you weren't allowed to leave your house at a certain hour because of the suspicion you might be socializing. But that's wild. It's like, oh, you won't be socializing during the day, but at night there's a curfew.
Yeah. Maybe some people kind of reject that kind of idea because people might be gathering in one place at certain time, not only night but also at afternoon before the curfew, of course.
Oh yeah, like the fucking Super Bowl or like the race car. Like there was, I remember in America there was like you weren't allowed to have gatherings more than 30 people, and yet they would have these events with like racing or social. They would have certain events happening that, like I think it was NASCAR. They love NASCAR. I think it was NASCAR that
NASCAR.
they would have like 20,000 people in one area. No one's wearing masks, and yet they would not allow groups of people of like 30 or what I don't know the exact numbers to be around each other, or they would stop people from going to church because that's a gathering, or they would stop people from going. For us, it was they stopped us. They didn't allow us to go to public parks. They didn't allow us to leave your house more than 5 kilometers, and they blocked all the motorways. That's what they did in Ireland. And shops closed. Everything was closed other than like Lidl, Aldi, pharmacies, and banks, something like that. Everything else was closed, and closed all the roads, all the main roads, so no travel was supposed to happen. And yeah, we didn't have a curfew though. That was pretty fucking wild. They told us 2 weeks, and then, fuck it. Let's not talk about this depressing shit. Sad.
But is your country still have a curfew?
It's pretty open. I think we have a vaccination rate of 92% or 93, something like that. It's super high. We're like one of the most vaccinated countries, and yet you would see a lot of breakthrough cases where the vaccinated get COVID again, and then they give it to other people. In my uncle's company, that's exactly what happened. The vaccinated got COVID, and then they gave COVID to others. So it's like those vaccines need boosters. How efficient and effective are they?
It might be third dose of vaccine.
Yeah. So we saw the Moderna. No, we saw the Johnson's, and Johnson's was kind of sketchy. Some of those vaccines were fucking up a lot of people, but Pfizer seemed okay. Yeah, some of those. Like Johnson's baby, isn't it? Baby powder.
Yeah, it's kind of made of asbestos, if I'm not mistaken.
I have a shiny forehead. Fucking hell. I've heard there's this conservative YouTuber, the biggest conservative YouTube channel on the planet, Ladder with Credder. He was I think he was a news reporter on Fox News, or CNN. I forget, one of those. And he was going over how much Pfizer fucked up as a medical company and how they're doing some shady shit and getting a lot of people dead for reproducing medicines that killed a lot of people without doing any testing. So they got fined for millions of dollars almost every year for making shady type of deals and medicines that weren't tested, releasing medicines that weren't tested. So it's in one of his most recent videos. I would have said like 4 days ago on what Pfizer was, how much shit Pfizer got through for making these dodgy medicines and doing shady deals with people. But yeah, anyway, fuck it. Let's not talk about that. That's a bit too much. It's out of my depth and is also too much.
I think there's a lot of you know uh, personal benefit. Who gets the most gains of this business? So it will be monetized a lot, in my opinion. Anyway,
Yeah, sure. They don't. They have. We have ivermectin, and ivermectin is shown to have benefits to.
ivermectin is not effective against COVID. Actually,
It is.
they
Joe Rogan.
really
Yeah, absolutely. Joe Rogan. He got COVID, used ivermectin. He was better in 3 days. 3 days. He was working
well
out after a week. Ivermectin was absolutely effective. There's a lot of doctors that are using ivermectin on thousands of their what did I say, students, on thousands of their patients, and they they don't have any more symptoms after taking it. Ivermectin is
really.
absolutely effective. Yeah, if the government makes ivermectin not effective, what they're trying to paint Joe Rogan as a guy who's using horse dewormer, because ivermectin has a Nobel Prize for its effectiveness on helping people with illnesses and diseases. It got a Nobel Prize, or the guy who made ivermectin got a Nobel Prize for it. But it's also used
Oh.
as a horse dewormer, and
Yeah,
I think
horse
it's
worm.
CNN is trying to paint a picture of Joe Rogan using a horse dewormer that uh, cured his COVID. But like that's also to say Joe Rogan drank car washing liquid to stay healthy, which is water, you know.
Mhm.
So they're
Yeah.
painting a bad picture of ivermectin, and there's a few other things that help cure COVID. If you have COVID, helps you cure the symptoms. So
Hmm.
you have to be sick or dead, like dying or dead, to get ivermectin prescribed in America, and it takes, if you got COVID and they make you wait 10 days until they can well, not legally, until they are socially acceptable to prescribe ivermectin to you after 10 days. But
Mhm.
once you get COVID, it's depends on which variant. It can be bad news for you earlier than 10 days. So yeah, ivermectin cures
I
the
thought,
symptoms of COVID.
yeah, I thought it was just a hoax.
No, they're painting it a hoax. The reason why they're painting it a hoax is if there's no cure to COVID, then vaccines are mandatory and they'll push it on you and you have no chance of saying no to it. If there's no other alternative, the
Mm.
vaccine is the mandatory. So then they'll make a huge amount of money on forcing this on people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the push was about.
Mm. Yeah, but I heard they made some kind of bill, but I don't know what is it made of. But um, there's new uh, alternative besides the
Ivermectin.
vaccines.
Yeah,
Really?
they're making a new ivermectin. They made an ivermectin that had similar properties but different chemical. It like chemically similar but just different, so they can make more money off of it. Because ivermectin has existed for 40 years. We know its longevity risks, which are low as fuck, but it costs so cheap because
Mm.
it's one of those drugs like uh when you get a headache, what do you get? You get I want to say
Par-
penicillin.
uh, it's not personal.
Yeah,
Aspirin,
paracetamol,
aspirin.
aspirin. Yeah, yeah. It's super cheap. We had it for
Mm.
decades. We know its
Mm.
detriments and we know its effects, and yet they're making another type of ivermectin that has similar effects, but we don't know the long-term detriment and benefit. But
Mm-hmm.
they'll make a lot of money for giving it to you. Oh, we made this
Mm-hmm.
new thing. It works. It's very similar
Mm-hmm.
to that guy, but I'm looking at that guy. So yeah, if they don't have an alternative, the vaccines are the mandatory thing for us to take against
Mm.
COVID. So yeah, fuck. I have to take a piss. Do you have to go to the bathroom?
No, I already
You went
finished the
before.
business.
All right. I mean, we've been at this for 2 hours. I'm okay talking more, but I know you're a busy woman, and also it's late over there. Oh fuck, it's like midnight over there. Okay,
Yeah, almost 12 p.m. Yeah.
crazy. Damn. Well, it was lovely having a chat with you,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
great that we can set this
Definitely
up.
as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Well.
Awesome. It was great. It was great having you on. Um, do you have anything else to say other than?
No.
Cool.
It's enough.
All right. See ya.
Okay. See you.